How's it going, guys? It's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you guys are watching this. It's Javi here with another report on the hurricane season. Today is August 31st, 2018, as we're wrapping up the month of August, one of the most quietest months on record, but it seems like it's gonna start to change as we head into September because we have two tropical disturbances in the Atlantic where we're pretty much keeping an eye on. We have tropical depression, potential tropical cyclone 6. I apologize, I thought it was a tropical depression. Is just coming off the coast of Africa like usual tropical cyclones do or usual low pressure systems do, but it seems like it's gonna likely develop as it has a 90% chance of developing over the next 48 hours and a 90% chance of developing over the next 5 days. And right now the winds are 35 miles per hour, central millibar pressure down to 1,007 millibars with the moving west at 13 miles per hour. So there's not gonna be, the good news is that even though there's gonna be a tropical cyclone that's finally gonna develop in the middle Atlantic region, I'm not saying finally as if it's a good thing. I'm just saying that it's finally going back to average for the Atlantic hurricane season. Don't get me wrong when I say finally, but since it is developing in the mid-Atlantic region for the first time since, I think maybe since Beryl, which was in early July, then it should gather some strength as it moves more towards the west, as it moves towards the northwest. But the good news is that with this tropical cyclone, it is likely going to take a turn up to the north and basically just get absorbed by an extra tropical cyclone that's basically getting pulled by the westerlies in the north and dropping down, creating basically a weakness between two ridges of high pressures, one that's just north of tropical depression 6 as of right now, and one that's closer, just centered around Bermuda. So there's gonna be a weakness between those two high pressure systems, as I'm about to show you now with the Atlantic analysis. Man, this mouse pad isn't responsive, to be honest, but there you go. You see those two high pressure systems. You see one that's closer to Europe and you see one that's closer to America, and there's basically gonna be an extra tropical cyclone that's gonna create a weakness between these two high ridges of high pressure, which should steer tropical cyclone 6 up to the north, not creating much of anything. So it's likely gonna be called Florence, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's gonna be called tropical storm, and most likely hurricane Florence, as this thing is expected to strengthen, possibly even to a Cat 2 or Cat 3 by the time it's at the central Atlantic. But the good news is, like I said, it's likely gonna stay far away from land, where most of, basically all of the North America region will miss out on this storm. So it's gonna be definitely good news. I'm gonna try to pull up the track. Okay, so, and there you see the track. So it's expected to stay as a tropical storm Friday into Saturday, as water temperatures are now becoming closer to average in the main development region, which should enhance some thunderstorm activity as the storm moves more to the northwest. And as it does so, it's expected to strengthen into a hurricane. There's not going to be much of any wind shear to really hinder this much, but as it moves up north, it's still gonna expect to strengthen possibly into a Cat 2 before really getting absorbed by an extra tropical cyclone or the westerly winds of the north. So the good news is that it's expected to stay out to sea, so it won't affect anyone. So I won't go too much more in depth with that. As for the other tropical cyclone that has a potential of developing, I shouldn't call it tropical cyclone yet because it's not really anything but a very weak low pressure system at this point. It is, as of right now, called Disturbance 1, and it has a 0% chance of developing over the next 48 hours. And even through the next 5 days, it has a really low chance of developing, only a 10% chance. So yesterday, the chances were a little bit higher with this developing. Some computer models were taking a pretty strong tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico, but now it seems like the models are leaning away from that idea because there's just going to be too much wind shear and possibly too much land interaction where it won't develop. And I'm going to show you the wind shear map right now. You can see I would say tropical cyclone, this disturbance is just over Puerto Rico. It's very disorganized, so it doesn't really have a well-defined center, but it's right around this region, and you can see those red lines represent high wind shear, unfavorable conditions for tropical system. And when you have high wind shear is basically the increase in wind between height, or I think it's something like that, but it's a change in wind direction within height, or change in wind speed within height. And when there's a huge change in wind speed from what the mid levels to the upper levels of the atmosphere, it doesn't really allow those thunderstorms to grow. And usually those upper level winds steer the thunderstorm clouds, the cloud tops, away from the center of circulation, which weakens many hurricanes and potential tropical disturbances that attempt to develop, because those thunderstorms can't really steer around the center of circulation or the low pressure, since the upper level winds are so persistent and strong, blowing away the thunderstorm cloud tops into the direction of the upper level winds. So it seems like this is what's happening as of right now. And even into Florida or the Gulf of Mexico, you can see that the wind shear is still very high. It's still has very strong upper level winds, and that's definitely going to hinder its development as it moves to the northwest and also Gulf of Mexico. And we also have to keep in mind about the land interaction with this. Obviously, tropical disturbances don't like land masses, because when there's a land mass, there's a lot of friction, which usually weakens the wind. And not only that, there's a lack of water or warm ocean water, which hurricanes fuel off of to develop. So that's what's gonna hinder this storm from really developing into something major. I'm gonna show you the European model, and yesterday the European model was taking a very small tropical storm to the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's basically nothing, just that slight orange you see there, right surrounded by the tons of red and dark red, which represents higher areas of higher pressure, and where the air temperature is the geopotential height, where the air temperature is usually warmer and is spreading out into the upper levels of the atmosphere, because since warm air wants to spread out, it spreads out higher than the cooler air. So it seems like this is what's gonna really hinder its development: land interaction and tons of wind shear. So not much of a future with this storm. And as for the Pacific, we only have 2 tropical disturbances to worry about, but they're not going to be much. We have obviously Hurricane Norman, which is a strong 150-mile-per-hour hurricane, but it's expected to weaken into a tropical storm relatively quickly as it takes a track to the northwest. And then we have Disturbance 1, which has a 50% chance of developing over the next 2 days, and then it increases to an 80% chance within 5 days. So it's still far to predict. If Norman is unlikely to affect any Hawaii, and even if it does, it's probably going to be too weak to cause much disruption. And also Tropical Disturbance 1, we still need to watch that ahead of time, but it's too far to predict where exactly it will go. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching this report. Make sure to subscribe for more. I love you guys as always, and I hope you guys have a great day.